Welcome back, everyone. Today we're diving into the eerie world of mysterious pets. These aren't your average furry friends. These pets have abilities that will send chills down your spine. Let's get started. We're about to explore 5 cases of pets with strange, unsettling powers that might just make you look at your own furry, feathery, or scaly friend a little differently. So, buckle up. Maybe grab your own pet for comfort. This is the kind of stuff that keeps me up at night, wondering what else is out there right under our noses. Okay, so let's start with cats. Everyone knows cats are, well, cats. They're mysterious, they're aloof, they do their own thing, but there's a whole other level to their weirdness that some owners swear by. And it's genuinely unsettling. We're talking about cats that don't just stare blankly into space, but seem to be actively observing something that we, as humans, just can't see. Imagine this, it's late, you're binge watching something, the house is quiet, and then your cat, who was just peacefully sleeping, suddenly bolts upright. Its eyes are wide, pupils dilated, and it's fixated on a spot right behind your head. You turn, obviously, heart pounding, but there's nothing there, just an empty wall. But your cat remains on high alert. Maybe its fur is even bristling. This isn't a one-off thing for some people. It's a regular occurrence. Folklore from all over the world has painted cats as these liminal creatures, beings that can walk between worlds or perceive spirits. It's easy to dismiss, right? Oh, it's just a cat being a cat, but what if they genuinely perceive entities, energies, or presences that are invisible to us? Maybe, just maybe, they're seeing something you're glad you can't. All right, moving on from silent watchers to talkers, specifically parrots. We all know parrots can mimic human speech. It's one of their coolest traits. But what if they start saying things they've never heard? Things no one in the house has ever said aloud? There are stories of parrots suddenly uttering phrases that are eerily specific, sometimes even prophetic. One famous account involves an African grey that allegedly told its owner, "Don't go outside," just moments before a huge tree branch crashed down right where the owner would have been standing. Coincidence, maybe, but the timing, the specificity, it's hard to just brush that off. Some people theorize that these birds aren't just mimicking, they're somehow tapping into something deeper. Maybe they're incredibly sensitive to subtle environmental cues we miss, or perhaps they're picking up on thoughts or intentions. Parrots live for a long time, sometimes longer than their owners. They form deep bonds. What if that bond allows for a different kind of communication? Not just words, but impressions, feelings, warnings. It's a wild thought, but when you hear multiple stories of parrots saying things they shouldn't know, you have to wonder, are they just incredibly lucky guesses, or is there a more profound connection happening? What else are they hearing? What else do they know? Chapter 3. The serpent that slips through reality. Let's talk about snakes. Now, snakes, especially certain kinds like ball pythons, are notorious escape artists. They can squeeze through the tiniest gaps. They're masters of stealth. So, a snake getting out of its enclosure isn't exactly paranormal, right? But what if the snake disappears and then reappears from a completely secure, locked enclosure with absolutely no way in or out? Imagine you have your pet snake in its terrarium. You know it's secure. You've checked the locks, the lid, there are no holes, no gaps. You leave the room for 10 minutes, come back, and the snake is gone, vanished. The enclosure is still locked exactly as you left it. Then, hours later, or maybe even the next day, you look back into the still locked, still secure enclosure, and there it is, your snake just hanging out, as if nothing happened. Paranormal enthusiasts have thrown around some pretty wild theories for this one. One of the most intriguing is the idea that these snakes can somehow slip between layers of reality. Snakes have always had this aura of mystery around them, haven't they? In many cultures, they're symbols of transformation, rebirth, the underworld, or hidden knowledge. Could this ancient symbolism be rooted in some kind of actual, observable phenomenon that we just don't understand? It's a deeply unsettling experience to have a living creature in your care that seems to operate by a different set of physical rules than everything else you know. Chapter 4. The hamster that bent space-time, probably. We're talking about hamsters, cute, furry, wheel-running little guys. Not exactly the first animal you think of when you hear paranormal powers, but there's this one story about a hamster that seemed to be, well, teleporting. So the story goes like this. A family had a pet hamster. Every night, they'd make sure it was secure in its cage door latched, everything normal. But then, in the morning, they'd find the hamster asleep on the kitchen counter, or on top of the fridge, or some other place in the house, completely outside of its still locked cage. Naturally, they were confused, probably a little freaked out. They set up a camera, aimed it at the cage, hit record, and went to bed. When they reviewed the footage during the window of time, the hamster would have escaped, but was nothing but static. Just a burst of interference, and then footage of the empty cage, or the hamster already gone. The rest of the night, perfectly clear footage. It was only during those crucial moments that the camera seemed to malfunction. Coincidence? Or was whatever the hamster was doing interfering with the electronics? It's almost funnier and more unsettling because it's a hamster. In Chapter 5, the dog that knew you were coming home before you did. Let's talk about man's best friend, dogs. We all know dogs have incredible senses. Their sense of smell is legendary. Their hearing is way better than ours. So it's not surprising that many dogs seem to know when their owner is about to arrive home. But what about the dogs that seem to know you're coming home hours in advance, when you're miles away? And here's the kicker, when your return is completely unplanned. Imagine this scenario. You're at work, and suddenly your boss says, hey, you can leave a few hours early today. You didn't plan this, no one at home knows you're coming, but according to your family, an hour before you even decided to leave, your dog, who was just lounging around, suddenly got up, went to the front door and just sat there, waiting patiently, as if it knew you were already on your way even before you knew it yourself. How do you explain that? Is it some kind of super intuition? Are they so attuned to our energy, our intentions, that they can pick up on that shift even across vast distances? It's a very specific, very personal kind of knowing, centered around the arrival of their beloved human. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this dive into the world of mysterious pets, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And remember, keep an eye on your pets. You never know what they might be seeing or sensing. It's wild to think that these creatures we share our homes with might have this whole secret life, these hidden abilities that we're only just scratching the surface of. So what do you guys think? Have your pets ever done anything unexplainable? Anything that gave you chills? Let me know in the comments below. Stay curious, stay a little bit scared, and maybe give your pet an extra treat tonight. See you in the next one.